Here's how to turn your everyday platformer into a really good game. Now, first thing you want to do is try to add some good art. For example, just don't make your game have some really simple grass, your player to just be one block, and just to not put any detail into the background other than a base color. Now you might be like, well, you always make your art in like 5 seconds in your tutorial videos. Well, we'll actually just create it really simply to not waste time, as I'm not trying to do an art tutorial, a programming tutorial. So if you want to know what I mean by good art, I made it pretty. This is an example of a pretty simple generic platformer. No really detail in the background, simple ground, and not too much detail into the obstacles. And here's what I think is a bit of better art. This is one of my games that I am planning on sharing a bit later on. And what I mean by it is, you can see this is the background. I try to put some nice detail and make some stars to give it a more realistic feeling. Instead of playing a block, I've actually created a character. Now this is the platformer, but once you press play and you've selected the character you want, you can actually start to play it. Now, later on, I will give you some more tips like character selection. So, continue watching this video to find out more tips. Number 2, what I would recommend that you do is add a theme and goal to your platformer. For example, in the mountains and you have to reach the top of the mountains, or say you're in a village and you have to go through the village. Something like that. You can be as creative. You can even import themes from like movies like Star Wars, The Lord of the Rings, stuff like that. If you have an idea and it's original, then you can create. Whether you want it to give the impression that it's winter or in a volcano, snow or steam is a really good thing to add to your platformer, as it gives it a bit more depth and it makes the player really feel like they're in that situation. For example, if you want to have like a Christmassy feeling, or that you're in the mountains or in a volcano. If snow comes at a surprisingly simple cost, with all you need to do is, if I just find the code real quick, all you need to do is this simple 12 block program, which creates a clone of itself, goes to some random coordinate, and repeats until it's reached the ground, then to go down. It also deletes the clone once it reaches the ground. Like we want it to do, for example, if it's snow, unless you want to have the effect that it's piling up, but that's a bit more complicated. So for Steam, it's pretty simple as well. Just set the ghost effect to like 75 and change the size for it to be a bit bigger, and you actually have the impression that there is some steam. Next, you will need a variable to indicate what level you are on, so just quickly create that. It's pretty simple. I don't think I have to explain it. But what we also want to do is, if our player for one example reaches the top, and we wanted to do that because we put a wall here on purpose, then how can we make that go to the next level? Well, this is pretty simple. You just use the if statement for if it's on the right part of the screen, then press next level, and just write, for example, if it's 3, the level you want it to be above instead of on the right side. If it's that one, then just change it to 3 or whatever level you want it to be. What this does is it will broadcast next level if it's for example about here. And we can do this by making a level and also make it spawn you where you went above. So just if you want to do this idea, just quickly write this code. Let's add some enemies to our platformer. I'm not going to go into any detail on this, as I've actually already made a video, and it's like the path for enemies is like 8 minutes long, 10 minutes long. So just make sure to watch that if you want to add some enemies. I will add a timestamp at the comment section for where the enemies selections. Again, I've already made a video on how to add collectibles. It's my most previous video, so make sure to check that out. And I like to add some enemies for and collectibles for one reason. They make the game a bit harder so that there's a bit of more goal. It gives them more depth. Sorry, that's 2 reasons. And it makes it a bit harder but not too harder. So 3 reasons. And although I accidentally said 1 reason, they are pretty good for a game. So just make sure to add some collectibles for some more depth to. Alright, something else I think you should add are level backgrounds. What these basically are when you want to have your background as some obstacles, and instead of just replacing all the code for the map using on the background, because that would just glitch as the background fills the whole screen, then we can just go to your, for example, if this was my map, and just make it set the ghost effect to 100. What this will do is we'll hide whatever map you have. For example, if I would do, I'm just gonna do something random real quick. If I would do this, it actually would hide it, whereas if I just press clear graphic effects, it shows it again. So nice and simple, but effective, as we can now actually use the background to be more interactive. For example, if I wanted to walk along these part of the mountains, if my screen is bigger and the mountain is bigger, but I don't want to actually come in contact with this part, and if we would just copy these mountains and put them in the map, that's what would happen. If we were about here and we would go right, it would just teleport us to this mountain, which so far we haven't discovered. Alright, now let's add some music. Music is good as it makes the game a little bit better, and each improvement actually helps the game improve a lot. So, for example, if you had a Star Wars game, you might add some sound effects or music. Now, you don't have to put like full on music, because if you have a song that doesn't go at all well with the game, then they kind of contradict each other and it makes it worse. So, even just sound effects, for example, if you shoot an arrow, footsteps, stuff like that. Well, next, you might be like, well, where can I install these? Because if you go on Google, you probably find 10 million viruses, which I don't want to install on my computer because I like my computer and it costs a lot of money. Well, a solution to this is, for example, if you go to YouTube Studio, YouTube actually has a page to try to help channels by give them some audio. For example, you have sound effects, and these are copyright free as long as you select the right download. So as you can see here, you just search which one you want. Now, there are going to, for example, as you can see here. Now, there are going to be some songs that you can actually select that are known. For example, if you have a Christmas song and you want to add some music, you can just search Jingle Bells, and you actually see Jingle Bells, and you can search a song, and although probably some songs are going to be copyrighted, like let's just do Imperial March, you are going to get some supplements for it. For example, something similar, and you can see it here. Just try to find a song that you think will fit that genre of music. So that's music. And the 10 things you can do to improve your platformer video, and that is dialogue. Whether you want to add some dialogue like I've added in my game, the ground is very cold water, from as you can see here, and by the way, that is shared the link in the description. Or you want to do some voice acting, dialogue is good as it also connects itself to the theme part of the video, and it tells the player has some instructions and plot twists. Now, it doesn't have to be anything complicated. if you just want to do something like this is pretty easy to do. Just edit the costumes, just make sure that it's, it's actually not in the way of the platformer. Or if you want to do some voice acting, all you need to do is go to sounds, add a new sound, press record, and if you press it, hello, you save it. Now you can play it whenever you want. For example, as you can see here, I could do it so that if level is equal to a certain one, then that's when it plays the sound. So that's a good thing to add as well, because one thing that's on Scratch is 10 million platformers. Like, look at this photo I've taken off the Scratch Explore page, and look how many platformers there are. Now, some of these might not seem like platformers, like this one, but as you can see here, it actually does. And also, one thing you should also do is never add your character as something like this. Like, literally, don't ever. If you get a Scratch, just 10 million of those are easiest games to be able to copy, as there's 10 million of them and no one realizes it. It's also incredibly generic and boring, so just make sure to not make that. And now, last but not least, some loading menus. These are good as first of all, it gives the options to your character selection and what modes you want to play. Number two, it also opens up the possibility you could add more like mini games in one game. For example, platformers in one part and mazes in other part. And number three, it also makes the game look more professional, because if you just started a game, then you would soon notice that, well, it just if it doesn't have a menu, you just go in and you'll be confused. Now, they might have had a dialogue to tell you how to play the game, but using a menu, you can actually open a much easier potential and create and show how to play button. Now, that's pretty easy. You just create some art and do a one sprite click. Also replace all the one green flag clicked in the game with when I receive a message, and do that message so that once you press a play button, that's what happens. So it's pretty straightforward. Alright, that's it for this video. Those are 10 tips that I think will help your platformer to get even better. Make sure to subscribe for more tutorial on how to make games in Scratch, Python and Unity, and also for some animations. Now, if I reach 50 subscribers, like I've said in a previous video, I am creating currently a game, and you, a viewer and subscriber, can actually tell me what I should add. Now, I recommend you tell me before I reach 50 subscribers, because that's when the game's going to get released. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Have a good day.